Dis ek tyd.
Good morning.
Goeiemôre almal.
Yes.
Ek hoop dis 'n wonderlike oggend vanoggend.
Indeed it is. It is Wednesday.
Dis
today.
Woensdag en dis 'n
Yes.
lekker. Dis eintlik 'n pragtige dag buitekant. Dis baie mooi dag. Dis glad nie koud nie.
Yes.
Ek dink die Suid-Afrikaners het 'n ander storie wat hulle vertel. Daar's vriende wat daarso in die naby Kroonstad se wêreld, Henneman, daai omgewing, hulle sê nee wat, dis bitterkoud.
Yes.
En lyk my dit word nog kouer. Daar's die koue is nie, die einde is nog nie in sig vir baie Suid-Afrikaners van die Kaap reg bo tot lyk my Noord-Transvaal se wêreld.
But in central Namibia, the weather is actually mild to extremely pleasant.
Ja.
Yes.
Maar ons jy moet onthou dis Augustus maand en ek bedoel
Ja.
en ons het nog nie vreeslik winde vir hierdie tyd van die maand nie.
No.
As jy mooi daaroor dink, maar dit is eintlik gewoonlik onsmaaklik deur die dag met die winde en dis baie droog. Gepraat van droogte, ons het gister weer die eerste groot veldbrande gesien hier om Windhoek.
Ja.
En naby Droombos. Ons het video's wat op die sosiale media die rondes doen. Ons hoop net nie daar's te veel skade daaraan gerig nie. Maar dit was nogal redelik groot geweest.
Yeah, so this kind of misty feeling that we have in Windhoek is actually the remains of a veld fire to the east of Windhoek, like Dirk said.
Yeah.
Starting in the area of roundabout behind Kleine Kuppe to the southeastern part.
Yeah,
And then basically the fire went all around and going across the road there where you basically take the road out to the international airport close to Droombos.
Ek dink hulle het dit redelik vinnig onder beheer gebring.
Ja.
Dis maar altyd die groot vrees is dat soos die klomp plase wat verbrand het, wat deurgeloop het verlede jaar toe dit baie droog was en so meer. Maar kom ons hoop en vertrou en ja, dis 'n moeilike ene. Hoe dit begin weet mens sê altyd nie.
Ja.
Maar dit is die skade wat die ergste is dan daarna. Ja, dis 'n mooi Woensdag, maar 'n somber oggend weer eens vir die plaasboere, die renosterboere. Ek wil eintlik nie eers mense moet seker berig daaroor, maar die weer foto's van nog renosters wat gestroop is.
Yes.
En dit sê hierso, dis professionele stroopers wat die renosters teiken. Namibia het in 1 week 5 wit renosters op privaat plase aan stroopers verloor.
Not good news.
Nee. En 'n boer in Gobabis,
Yes.
op sy plaas is 3 al gestroop. En hy sê dit is definitief professionele stroopers hierdie.
We've seen these horrible pictures before, but just to re-see these pictures on the front of the newspaper, especially on the front of the Republican this morning, is really heartbreaking. And it just shows you how unkind humanity can be to these kind of animals. I don't know what's going on in a human being's head when we look at these rhinos being mutilated to this degree.
Weet jy,
From what place must you come from to be able to do something like that? Your greed is unfathomable.
weet jy wat Kaufeee, die ding is net die syndikaate, die syndikaathoof of eienaars wat hoe sou mense dit stel.
Yes.
Hulle kan net nie vasgetrek word nie, want hulle huur ouens om dit te gaan doen.
Yes.
So die stroper self, jy kan hom toesluit, maar dis 'n moeilike situasie wat jy kan bewys dat dit daai persoon is wat die renoster geskiet het en die horing verwyder het.
The thing is,
dit is so moeilik. In die syndikaate sit ook wel natuurlik in Namibia, maar ook in die buiteland.
Yes.
Hoe kom jy by hulle uit?
That is the true sad story about this, is that there are so many people that have to be involved with something like this.
Yeah.
Never mind the poacher, the person that actually kills the animal, the other one that cuts the horn off, the other one that has to smuggle it to some place, the logistics involved.
Correct.
And then also to have these things exported into foreign countries.
Ja. Vir sogenaamde medisyne.
Absolute
Wat in
terrible.
geval dis belaglik. Nou, dis nie al nie. Nou op hierdie stadium is daar nog probleme.
Yes.
En dis met seekoeie. wat nou gebuit word. Ook vir Ivoor. So dit hou net nie op nie. Dis asof dit in Namibië is hierdie wonderlike land met al hierdie wild en die boere kan nie voel hoe moet jy alles oppas. Maar hier's nog 'n ding. Hulle sê dat hierdie ouens, hierdie stroopers dra nie een paar skoene nie. Wat hulle ook gevind het op die misdaad tonele is dat hulle vat spons en hulle maak dit onder hulle skoene vas.
Right.
En dan is dit baie moeilik om die actual spoor te volg. So die spons as hulle daarmee loop en dan wissel hulle ook hulle skoene en dit wissel van plakkies tot by tekkies en dan hier en daar ander spore. So dis nie jy weet nie wat om te volg nie. Maar die spons is nou die nuwe ding.
Right.
En dan word bitter min agtergelaat by die misdaadtonele wat dit baie moeilik maak om hierdie ouens vas te trek. Maar die ouens gaan aan. Dit is maar net een van daai dinge ek beloof ons sal volgende week sal ons met Jaco hulle praat en hoor wat hulle sê. Die ouens wat hard werk. Weer miskien met ISAP gesels en hoor of daar enige leidraad op hierdie stadium opgespoor is. En nog 'n storie op die voorblad, 'n ander ene, en dis net so 'n krisis in Namibië, is dat daar is nie slangbyt teengif beskikbaar in Namibië nie. Die maatskappy wat dit vervaardig in Suid-Afrika het net 100 ampules beskikbaar. En die Suid-Afrikaanse vervaardiger het geen aanduiding gegee van wanneer die reuse agterstand uitgewis gaan word nie en hulle weer hulle produksie hervat. Nou sê François Tiart, hy sê dit is 'n krisis hierdie. Op hierdie stadium sit Namibië met leë hande. Nou kan jy maar net dink ek sê nou maar 'n kind, maar enige mens op 'n plaas of buite kan die dorp of in die dorp deur 'n slang gepik word en daar is geen hospitaal, daar's geen kliniek op hierdie stadium wat vir jou teengif kan gee nie.
Yeah, incredible.
So dit en dan moet mense ook onthou, wees maar bewus van die gevaar van slange op hierdie stadium. Dit is nou weer die seisoen waar hulle begin beweeg.
They're coming out of hibernation as winter comes to an end, the warmer temperatures start rising. Snakes are coming out, and of course Namibia is very well known for cobras, black mambas, zebra snakes. Those are the dangerous ones, including puff adders.
Ja, so op hierdie stadium sal die pasiënte maar simptomaties behandel word en gaan kry so vinnig as moontlik maar vir jou hulp by 'n dokter of by 'n kliniek.
Right.
Dis die beste wat 'n mens kan sê op hierdie stadium.
So effectively what we're saying is look after yourselves when you're around the bush so that you don't get a snake bite.
Yeah.
Then on the front page of the Namibian this morning, the headline news is that the city of Windhoek is saying that 17,409 don't qualify for city's affordable homes. Out of 40,000 applications, these 40,000 applications are on 5 lists in Windhoek. And what they're saying that at least 16,425 earn a gross salary of less than 8,000.
Yeah.
So applying for these kind of home loans, the home would cost you 8,000 Namibian dollars per month. And subsequently 17,409 applicants don't qualify for the city's affordable homes, which once again does not speak well for our home situation and housing situation in Namibia. We know that this has been coming for years, so not good news according to the Namibian this morning.
Ons kyk nou na die hoofberigte. Dit lyk my daar's goeie nuus vir Suid-Afrikaanse motoriste met die brandstofprys wat bietjie gaan afkom. Dit lyk asof die prys van kom ons kyk gou 93 so gaan afgaan na R2.45 toe. Diesel kan dalk so laag wees as R2.30, maar ons wag vir daai aankondiging wat nog gedoen moet word. Ek wil ook nou net iets sê. Ons het 'n interessante gas vandag by ons.
Yes.
Ons het gister het ons daaroor gesels, eintlik die hele week. Voordat ons dit nog aangaan, jy het 'n mooi knippie gekry.
Yeah, I got it.
Like Kaufman se kop
For a change, hey?
Kaufee se koppie.
Yes,
Met 'n knippie.
I got this done by my hairdresser, or barber actually. His name is Herbert, at Tatakulu, there at Nico's Pub and Grill. And I must say, Herbert always does a fantastic job. We'll bring him out onto the show one day so that you can speak to Herbert what it all entails.
Ja. Ons het verlede week begin met gepraat oor manshare en style en so meer. En ons het ook gesê ons gaan vandag, woensdags mos altyd die dag waarop ons na interessante loopbane kyk of mense wat stokperdjies verander het in winsgewende besighede. En ons het beloof ons gaan praat oor the art of tattooing en ons het vir Norman Begley wat vir ons nou op die bank gaan join. Maar jy praat van jou haarkapper by Nico's. Ek dink is tyd dat ons net gou daai advertensietjie vat en dan kan ons weer gou nog een of twee headlines kyk en dan gaan ons vir Norman welkom sê.
Right, and we are back. Some good news on the front pages of the German newspaper today. The Allgemeine Zeitung is saying in German, die San-Gemeinden erhalten hochmoderne Infrastruktur, which means the San communities have now got a very modernized infrastructure, and they are showing these beautiful pictures in terms of the Sun community, which is good news. And they are saying that these buildings and also the technologies used are basically in their area. And this is Palms for Life is the sponsorship in terms of all of this. So the Sun communities in the north of the country have now received these fantastic infrastructures, and they of course include classrooms, kitchens, you know, bathrooms and all that kind of stuff. So very, very nice.
Dis goed om sulke goed te lees en maatskappye wat regtig waar moeite doen daarmee. Maar daar is nog steeds 'n groot probleem in ons skole. Veral in die noorde in die van die communities waar kinders die ouers bly te ver van die skole af. So wat die kinders nou doen is hulle bly by die skool en hulle slaap op die vloere van die klaskamers met omtrent geen komberse of beddegoed nie. So dit bly nog steeds 'n krisis en dis ook in die koerante word dit ook berig. Ons het nou al 'n paar keer daaroor gepraat, haglike omstandighede by die hospitale. Muispla in hospitale, ons het daaroor gesels. Baie krities siek pasiënte soos byvoorbeeld kankerpasiënte wat in die gange moet slaap op is maar 'n karige matrassie en 'n kombers en die minister beweer dat hy toe hy genader is en gevra is dat hy moet kommentaar lewer toe sê hy is besig met belangrike goed vir die regering en hy het nie tyd om hom uit te spreek oor die hospitale se situasie nie. Dit was ook in die koerante. Maar nou ja, kom ons hoop dat daar wetenskap sal intree, letterlik en figuurlik oor die hospitale. Dan skoolkinders wat in die klaskamer slaap. Dis te ver.
School children also that attend school only to get the one meal per day.
Ja, dis die ander een wat ons oor berig het.
Horrible news.
Kinders wat letterlik skool toe gaan, wel hulle behoort skool toe te gaan, maar dit is waar hulle kos kry. Een maaltyd 'n dag. En dit kos ook baie geld op hierdie stadium.
So we've got some comments this morning. Quite a number of people have joined us this morning. Perry Souden says, hello boys, Andre Karitis Carstens. Terry Jenkinson, Chef Terry, nice to have you with us. Dan Gerard Steenkamp, hy sê dit is nooit te koud vir 'n koue bier nie.
Ja, nee, ek stem saam. Ek stem saam.
Andre Karitis sê, Henty's baie cool weer, geen son vandag, so it's overcast. Gerard Steenkamp, ek dink maybe dalk is dit net by jou. Hy sê is dit my internet wat my uitgooi of is dit by almal? Lolo is saam met ons vanoggend. Rousseau Hill sê môre. As en wanneer hulle die manne vang wat so stroop, doodstraf is die antwoord. Well, you know that's the way we feel, Rousseau, but we all know that in Namibia we don't have the death penalty. But I agree with you. It is really frustrating and
Nee, maar dis
you know,
aardig. Dit is
angering.
jy weet dit is die situasie word dis en dis een van die boere wat gesê het hulle weet nie waar dit nou toegeskryf is nie. Dis ewe skielik uit die bloute uit.
Right.
Dis letterlik in 'n kwessie van 14 dae 14 renosters.
Incredible.
Op een boer se plaas 3 van sy renosters. So hulle kom net terug vir meer en vir meer.
Yes.
Jy weet in daai plase is nie 'n paar hektaar nie. Dit is massiewe groot plase. En dit kos ontsettend baie geld na so 'n stropery vir daai boer om op te tree en te kyk of hy kan spore kry. Daai hele optrede, daai hele aksie, net dit alleen, die brandstof, die ontplooiing van mense, R20,000, net so, gone.
Ja.
En dan het jy nog nie die ou vasgetrek nie. So,
Ja.
dis regtig
Piet, species met ons vanoggend uit Suid-Afrika is Karretjie sê Wheat Eater 1, Kaufeee 0. Ja, stem saam met jou.
Is dit nou oor jou mooi haarsny vanoggend?
Ja.
Nou, dat jy dit. Kaufeee, ons het môre natuurlik gaan ons bietjie weer buitekant ons ateljee wees en dan gaan ons die Andries Botha ontmoet, is dit reg?
Dit is reg. Môre ontmoet ons die ster, die sanger, die artis, die musikant, Andries Botha. He's coming up from South Africa, so we are all looking forward to seeing him. So be sure that you tune into InfoStream tomorrow between 10 and 11, where we will be interviewing Andries Botha.
Goed.
Wat is die wêreld sonder jou? Wat is die wêreld sonder jou? Nie veel nie. Die wêreld is nie veel nie. Wat is die wêreld sonder jou? Wat is die wêreld sonder jou? Nie veel nie. Die wêreld.
Daar's hy.
There we are.
En hier's die man by ons.
Hi guys.
Hier's die man. Welkom.
Thank you for having
Hello,
me. I really
Norman. Yeah.
It's been
a while.
These guys are busy.
Very.
You know, I think the hairdressers and those dye-ins,
The barbers.
and the barbers and the tattoo artists, they are just busy. But interesting. I've been fascinated by the whole history of tattooing.
You actually did some research on
I
it.
did some research, you know, and Norman, but you must also help us here. But I just want to give this as an introduction. Sure. The phenomenon of tattooing was once widespread, and this comes from a book, The Descent of Man, 1871. Charles Darwin wrote that there was no country in the world that did not practice tattooing or some other form of permanent body decoration.
Absolutely.
So
100%.
yeah, and then 19th century German writer and explorer Carl von den Steinen believed that tattooing in South America evolved from the custom of decorating the body with scars. This one, and then plant subs rubbed into the wounds to prevent bleeding, cause discoloring of the scar. This result in decoration and can also be regarded as a tattoo.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Maybe you can confirm, I'm just saying this, throwing it out there. Surely this must come from some form of Aboriginal or Indian or Egyptian background?
No one knows 100% for sure.
Okay.
But as long as there's actually been civilization,
Right.
there has been some form of body marking or tattooing for sure.
Okay.
Yes.
It's as long as there's been people.
So what Norman is saying is that we cannot pinpoint exactly when and where it started.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, a couple of years ago, they found that mummy in Switzerland. I think it was Ötzi, the famous-
Ötzi, the famous Iceman. Yes, yes.
Over 3,000 years old, head to toe tattoos. Some of them were medicinal.
Right.
So he'd have these bars tattooed on his joints. They suspect that he had signs of rheumatism.
Okay.
So, and he might have been a shaman. And then he had the very famous deer tattoo, which is quite a common tattoo motif today.
Yeah, all right.
You know, it was usually the animals that they worshipped or the animals that they were hunting.
Right,
Correct.
So
right.
it's very interesting stuff. I love the
Fascinating.
origin of tattoos.
Wow.
There's also a book written by Nina Jablonski, Skin, A Natural History. And she actually confirmed just what you said now. You know, what you've said is also in the book. the oldest documented tattoos belong to Utsi the Iceman.
Yeah.
En dit is net ongelooflik. Hy was tussen Austrië en Italië gekry in 1991.
Yes.
Absolutely perfectly preserved. So dit is waar.
He was, what, 3,500 years before Christ?
3,300 before
Yeah.
Christ.
3,300
Crazy.
BC.
Ja.
Wow.
Nou kom ons praat nou ek wil nou weet so die origin of tattooing is yet to be found. Daar's baie geskryf daaroor en alle lande, dit is wat my fascineer. Tot van die mummies. Nou gaan jy terug na die tye, dis nou Egiptiese geskiedenis. Kry jy daar's artwork wat gekry is wat dui daarop dat tattooing gedoen is en gedoen was daai jare. It's to beautify the mummies, so to speak.
It depends from culture to culture.
Yeah.
So most of your Middle Eastern type of cultures, they tended to do it as beautification.
Okay.
Whereas other people use it to mark a certain role in society.
Yes.
So another very famous tattoo, although is the spore tattoo that the Roman soldiers used to have.
Yes.
It was done quite horribly. It was
Right.
just a spike.
Okay.
You know, a bunch of nails in a shape, and then they would rub it into what they call ink, hold
Right.
it to your arm, give it a slam, there's your tattoo, and you'd be a legionnaire.
Ja, dis waar.
So
Dis waar.
it's come along so far. The old Japanese used to use certain types of tattooing to mark criminals.
Ah,
That's
okay.
why certain countries tattooing
Right.
is still fairly taboo.
Yes.
So if you are a heavily tattooed person in Japan, you've actually got to go to a special bathhouse where tattooed people are allowed.
Ek het dit nie
Wow.
geweet nie. Ek het nie dit geweet nie. Dat
Okay.
ek bedoel daar is mense kan sê wat hulle wil. Selfs vandag nog is daar 'n mate van 'n stigma aan mense wat tattoos het. Jy
Yes,
weet,
unfortunately.
There
so.
is some, you know, doesn't that just come out of the more, shall I say, what shall I say, how would I call it, conservative kind of
So there
communities?
is an anecdotal story.
Okay.
We've been trying to confirm it.
Right.
But supposedly one of the last British kings to have a tattoo was King Edward with one of the last crusades.
Okay.
And he came back with a big Christian cross on his chest, which
Yeah,
one
right.
of the current princes supposedly has a replica of.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
the story goes that he came back to England with this tattoo, and all the lords and ladies were quite impressed.
Okay.
Because it was now exotic.
Right.
So you know the very famous boob rose.
Oh,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
It's actually
yes.
an old school English tattoo, and the
Okay.
lords and ladies would have it, and only your privied consorts would be allowed to see it.
Right.
But at the same time, the trade routes to the east were starting to open up.
The Marco Polos and that. Okay.
So the big trade routes to the east were opening up, and these sailors were now going to the east and to these exotic
Yeah,
places, coming back with tattoos.
Yeah.
Now the problem with that was that if you weren't part of the Admiralty or the Navy, you were just a commoner sailor. You were
Okay.
considered pretty very low, almost scum.
Right.
So, you know, these guys would come with hold fast, the traditional sailor's tattoo.
Okay.
Swallow to find your way home, the North Equal Star. And the royalty didn't want to be associated with these lower castes. So they were like, oh no, this is only for riff-raff and criminals.
Right.
So that's where one of the modern connotations of negative
And
connotations
kind of
comes.
this also, tattooed people are not allowed in certain churches and
yes.
religious circles and,
And
that
there is
kind of stuff.
evidence that shows that it's a sensitive subject, but there is evidence that showed that Christianity
Right.
also in part, very small part, survived because of branding, tattooing. Our little bumper sticker, the little fish
Yeah,
that
yeah.
a lot of
Yes,
people have.
yes, that's
Is
the
a
Christian
common
fish.
symbol.
Right.
So in the good old days, way before Christianity became the order of the day, if you were caught, you would be beheaded or stoned to death.
Ja.
Christianity was considered a cult.
Ja.
So the early Christians would have to meet in secret,
So,
and they'd draw
Right.
the brand, the mark of the fish, or draw it in the sand, and they'd be
It's
allowed to go. and
so
work
what
it
we would
very
need to do, due to a comment here coming in from Sonja Brettschneider, she says she's got 3 tattoos. So what you're saying is we should go and behead Sonja Brettschneider today.
Absolutely.
Hey,
not.
Sonia?
Yeah.
We'll be coming around a little bit later. She says, just love them. All 3 have got a meaning. for her. It's a reminder of her dad and, of course, her 2 sons.
Yeah.
I mean, that is really cool.
For a
you know?
lot of our clientele, it is very, very important for them that the tattoo has meaning.
Yes, yes.
So we also take a lot of effort in trying to listen and understand what our clients are getting across.
Right.
So, for example, in the case of a memorial tattoo, a lot of people would like, for example, a past family member's name and birth dates and date of passing.
Yeah.
And we personally do not want to attach negative memories to your tattoos. Because if you've got that date there, it's set in stone.
Right.
So you're permanently reminded of this negative thing. So we try to, for example, if you're doing something for mom and dad,
Okay.
we do their birth flower and their birth stone.
Right.
Because you can attach a positive story to
So
it.
what you're saying is that there's a psychological impact on this,
There can be.
and it could either be good or bad.
Yes.
So you tend to steer it as
much as
unless
possible.
the client comes and says, "I want this."
Yes.
Do you, as a tattoo artist, then have the say, "Look, I rather abstain. I don't want to do this."
I
Or
always
what?
try to cater to everyone that
Right.
comes into my doors. It's a big personal thing. I take it up quite intensely.
Serious, sure,
Because I want to do the best, and I want
Yes.
your tattoos to look wonderful 10 to 15 years down the line.
And then also in terms of tattoos, we've also got the sinister story of tattooing with Nazi Germany in those days, with what they did to the Jews.
Yes.
You know, where all the Jewish people that they
They
imprisoned,
put the numbers,
they
yes.
put the numbers in, and that's of course not so nice.
That has actually happened a few times in history.
Where prisoners would get numbers
Absolutely,
tattooed.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very, so again, depending on where in the world you come from, the tattoo could take on a different meaning.
Right.
So even, it used to be quite popular in the 90s. You'd have these sort of tribal flowers
Okay.
on your shoulders, and those were actually originated from headhunter tattoos from the forests of Borneo.
Right.
So what would happen is because you could tread so quietly in the jungle, and it was shoot first, ask later.
Okay.
So you would sneak up on this guy and you'd go, "Oh no, I see he's got my own village's mark. I can't get this dude."
yeah.
So it was also a form of identification, again, depending very much which part of the world you come from.
Incredible, these stories.
And I talk about people that say no, yes, dis net 'n ou wat in die jail was, jy weet wat 'n tattoo het. Nou die realiteit daarvan is dat in die gevangenisse het jy bendes.
Oh yes.
En die verskillende bendes, gangs, ja. En die verskillende bendes het hulle eie tattoos. Jy weet, soos byvoorbeeld jou Big Fives, jou Springbokke, and they all got tattoos. En selfs as die ou uit die gevangenis is, dan en hulle kry mekaar en dan weet jy was deel van die Big Five of die Springbokke. Dis die ouens wat altyd planne gemaak het om te probeer wegkom.
Right.
En dit is so, daar was ook 'n storie wat ek gelees het, wat in 'n Amerikaanse hy tattoos gehad van bo tot onder. En iemand het vir hom gevra, nou, waar het jy dit gekry? Sy tyd verdryf of die verwyl terwyl hy in die gevangenis was om vir 'n ander iemand te vra wat 'n tattoo artist was, om vir hom die tattoos te gee.
Ja, absoluut.
Letterlik van bo tot by sy tone het hy tattoos gehad. En dit was vir die tyd wat hy in die gevangenis was. Het hy gesê, okay, I'm going to do it. I've got time to waste. Jy weet, of not to
A
waste.
lot of the prisoners that ended up doing tattoos had so much time on their hands, so they needed to
Exactly.
invest in something.
Okay.
And a lot of them chose art. And if you could draw, you could tattoo. And if you look at the quality of modern tattooing today, a lot of that actually comes from American jails.
Right.
So our level of black and grey,
Yeah.
when you've got that beautiful portrait of mom and dad down
Yes.
on your chest,
Yes.
that level of quality actually started in the jails because those guys had the time to figure out how to lay the ink down. There's a easily accessible documentary, I believe, on YouTube, Ink Nation.
Yeah,
I speak under
yeah,
correction.
yeah.
But it's phenomenal, and it actually goes through the story of how tattooing became what it is today.
Yeah.
This massive multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yes.
Tattooing has become so prevalent and so popular now.
Yes.
It's actually, you're in the minority if you don't have one.
Right. Right.
Ek wil nog meer weet oor die actual art en waar dit vir jou begin het, maar kom ons gaan gou net 'n advertensietjie vat en dan as ons terug is dan gesels ons weer vir right.
FJ Logistics. We do road freight, mostly from our neighboring countries. We do air freight from all over the world. And we even do ocean freight for those not so easy cargoes. Most of all, we guarantee to always deliver on time. FJ Logistics. Give us a call today.
Goed, ons is terug.
We are back.
Hier op die bank. Norman,
Yep.
welkom.
Norman and Dirk, maybe I can just go through a couple of the
Yeah,
comments.
absolutely.
Okay, so I'm taking them from the top down. Still with Sonja Bretschneider, she says, "Oh, please just give me a tequila." You know, when we were talking about, "Oh, Sonja, why don't you come around? We've got a pub right here next to us, and you can get your tequila."
It's not while you're getting tattooed. Though.
Yeah. And then she also says, "I still would like to have my father's signature on my arm." Have you tattooed signatures?
Yes, although if I do a signature, I prefer to have as close to an original copy as possible, because then I can actually see the direction of the hand strokes. I can try and match that as close as possible.
Okay. So there you have it, Sonja. If you go to Norman, bring your dad's signature along, and a good quality one. Rousseau Hield says, "Ek het 6 tattoos, elkeen het sy eie betekenis. Daar is nog in beplanning." So Rousseau, I don't know who does your tattoos, maybe Norman does, but when you're back in Namibia, Rousseau Hill is one of our, let's say, correspondent chefs, if you like, and he is on an oil rig, or basically on the boat next to the oil rig, and he supplies all the food, but he'll be back here in September.
Hy kom kyk vir onsself. Ja.
Yes.
Ons gaan met hom hier gesels.
Yes,
Definitief.
exactly. Then I'd like to bring out maybe just a topic in terms of, let's call it, let's say women that have had their breasts removed, let's say because of cancer, and had them built up and all that kind of. Have we seen tattoos, let's say, in forms of nipples or something like that?
Yes, we do. So I've done 1 or 2 of the artificial nipples, or a reconstructed nipple, after a mastectomy or something like that.
Okay.
In the case of a complete breast removal, a lot of women prefer to opt for a tattoo to cover up the area, rather beautifying it, you know, and then rather than distracting from it. But it's all different to person to person.
Right, of course. And when it comes to tattoos, everything obviously remains, what shall I call it, confidential, or, you know, there's, I guess, some form of customer care.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I usually like to monitor my tattoos, so I ask my clients to come back after it's freshly healed. So if I maybe spot something, that I can address it with a free touch-up.
Okay.
Otherwise, if they heal really well, I'll be like, okay, cool, off you go.
All right.
And I also like to see it a year or 2 after the fact. Because your skin isn't paper, it's an organ. It changes as you do. So as your body weight fluctuates, your skin fluctuates, your thickness of your skin fluctuates. So I like to just keep an eye on things. And because I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I'd rather go back into the tattoo.
But I've seen some of your tattoos that you've done, and I'm talking about incredible artwork, detail like you hardly find on normal artwork. And I'm talking about any other canvas.
Thank you very much.
And I'm not going to sort of mention the person's name, but I mean the detail. And I'm just take an example, something like a feather, you know, the feather of a bird. I mean, that is difficult, very, very difficult to draw because of the fine detail.
Yeah.
So how long did it actually take for you to become so skilled that you do this incredible artwork?
Well, to be honest, I've been drawing my entire life. I started drawing from a small age. Even in primary school, when all my friends wanted to be spacemen and firemen, I wanted to be an artist. I got into a lot of trouble for all the drawings in my school books, but I've stuck with it my entire life.
Yes.
I've been tattooing now for, I think, 10, 11 years.
Wow.
This is a tape.
Wow.
And it took me about, I would say, about 5-6 years to be 100% comfortable with the medium, because it's very different to paint or pencil. Because we're not working just on a 2-dimensional surface. We're actually working in 3D, because we're working with the depth of your skin as well.
Yes,
yes.
So, and there's a lot of learning. It's a huge learning curve.
Now, here's an interesting one coming in from Gerard Moorman.
Yeah.
He says, discuss the notion of people getting addicted to the pain of getting a tattoo, like a dopamine rush.
It
It
can
so.
happen.
It is so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it hurts like hell.
It depends on where you're in your body. There's certain areas that hurt a lot more than others.
Oh, okay. All right.
But it's from person to person. You know, you get people that go as far as doing self-harm to help cope with mental pain and things like that.
okay.
So in the case of someone like that, they can quite easily become addicted to the tattoos. But at the end of the day, it's something a bit prettier than just cutting yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've got a couple of clients that call their tattoo sessions their therapy sessions.
Yeah.
Because they feel once they're done with a tattoo, they've gone through this. It's sometimes an ordeal.
It's like an achievement.
And it's an achievement. It's like a rite of passage, you know. No one likes to feel pain.
Yes.
But
yes.
when you're willingly putting yourself through it, it's a different thing.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
When, at the end of the day, when you stand there in front of the mirror, you look at your beautiful new half sleeve or whatever you've gotten.
Right.
You're like, wow, I did this. I could do this. So I think people do get addicted to it, but it's not a physical addiction. It's purely a mental addiction.
Die ander vraag wat ek het is, en dit het ek nou 'n paar keer gehoor. Dan sien jy nou die ou het 'n tattoo, 'n nuwe tattoo gekry. The skin is covered up, you know, to heal. En dan sê hy nee, maar dit is nie klaar nie. Want die tattoo is deel van 'n verhaal wat op my arm gaan wees byvoorbeeld.
Yes.
So it's like it's part of a dream, an idea to have a whole story. And you do it in parts. I would also imagine it got to do with the availability of funds, because tattoo, it's not cheap.
Not cheap, not
Ja,
at all.
vertel vir ons 'n bietjie van hoe maak die ou die keuse en hoe beplan jy dan die ontwikkeling?
Okay, this one's a bit tough because every artist is a bit different. We all work slightly different to each other.
Okay.
So me personally, what I like to do is I design all of my work in a modular fashion.
Okay.
So if you
Yeah.
want a full sleeve, I'll design it in such a way that we can focus on the start end and then just add and add and add.
I
as
see,
time and
okay.
funds allow.
Right.
I don't like just going straight up because you know you can realistically take a single tattoo, stretch it up across an entire arm, and it's done.
Yeah.
I always like to leave my work open-ended so that should a client want to continue or add to the sleeve
Yes.
or the leg or whatever, they can do so without interfering too much with the previous design.
Right.
It's something to keep in mind that if you are going to add tattoos, you have to inform your artist, because a lot of us sometimes will block off a tattoo by putting a nice background of shading.
Okay.
But that shading is about that thick on your arm.
Yes.
And it's wasted space. You could have added something there.
Right.
So I like to think ahead for clients, although we've got a lot of people that will, for example, go, sorry, I only ever want this one tattoo.
Yeah.
But in my experience, we get those guys, they'll come in, no, I only want this one tattoo ever. We're done with that tattoo. They stand in front of the mirror and they go, oh, so for the next one. Because they realize it's not as bad as the pain isn't as bad as people say.
Right.
The equipment that you use, does it actually evolve sort of with the development of the art? You know?
Yeah, look, ever since the first reality shows with tattooing started, I believe one of the first was Miami Ink.
Okay.
We've seen a big rise in popularity of tattoos.
Yes.
Because it has become, it's out there. You know, everyone's seeing it, everyone wants them, they've realized that it's a legitimate art form. So as time has progressed, we've seen huge leaps and bounds in the technology of the machines themselves, and the needle quality has changed. Completely.
So let's say I get my tattoo from you, okay? Is it a kit, a sanitized kit that gets opened up just for me, or is there a cleaning process with the needles?
Okay, there are certain things that we reuse.
Okay.
So the tattoo machine itself is something that we
Sure.
reuse.
Sure.
We do sanitize it and clean it after every session. Our grips get sterilized properly, the part that we hold and that the needle comes out of.
Right.
we use an awful lot of disposable items. So we use linen savers, plastic sheeting, to create hygienic barriers.
Yes.
From that part, needles are single use strictly.
Okay.
We never, ever reuse a needle. I prefer to open the needle packaging in front of my clients as well.
Okay.
Ink, obviously, is also something that whatever's left in the little cap that we've got on our table is thrown away because it is cross-contaminated with blood, and it's a massive problem.
There you have it. Healthy environment.
Yeah, and the paint itself, because it from the first tattoos that I've ever seen, it seems to me that the quality of the paint has just improved so much, because the particular artwork I'm referring to, it's also a biker friend of ours. I mean, the artwork, it looks like it's like real. The colors are so beautiful and bright. I remember years ago it was sort of like
fading grey.
So dit was nooit hierdie bright brilliant kleure nie.
Again, this is partially a result of the big boom in tattooing that we've seen since all the reality shows started. So beforehand there wasn't that much regulation about how tattooings are made. So you could just go, oh, like I've got this red, and we'll bottle it and say
yes.
It's inert in human skin. We've sort of tested it, but now because there's so much money being pumped into the industry, a lot of the ink manufacturers are putting heavy money behind the research into inks to make it safer, last longer, brighter. We recently had a scare in the tattoo industry that I think it was in Europe that they wanted to ban a whole range of color from tattoos because it contained a pigment that was banned in makeup, which is completely understandable. Thankfully, people knew about it, and a lot of the manufacturers did take the time to go do the research, find alternatives, which are now in the coming into the market now.
Right. Dit is eintlik baie groter as wat mense dink. Jy weet, want dis toerusting. Alles wat jy nodig het, dan is dit die kleure en paint die ouens, die verskaffers van die kleure kompeteer ook weer teen mekaar.
You have to be a registered artist to access the stuff. You can't go get yourself a AliExpress, Amazon cheap tattoo machine and cheap ink. I mean, yes, you can, but you don't know where it's been made. So in the tattoo industry, there's a lot of safeguards. So me as a registered tattoo artist, a lot of the times I can't buy from the manufacturer direct.
I see.
I've got to buy it through a registered distributor. So we can, for example, if we've got a color where a client's had a negative reaction, thankfully that's never happened in my career, but should there be a negative reaction, we can look at the color we used, track the batch number, and let the manufacturer know, look, there are people that are having reactions. So there's a lot more control in the industry, and that's to help prevent any bad tattoos, scarring, and possible disease that might come from unhygienic circumstance.
Ons gaan gou 'n advertensiebreek vat en so terugkom dan gaan ons dalk so 'n bietjie gesels met hom en dan voor ons klaarmaak. Intussen studio boodskapies, Kaufeee sal dit lees.
Vintage Bar and Grill. At Vintage, we simply love our music. We have a variety of live bands playing in our beer garden every Friday and Saturday from 2 to 6. From Wednesdays to Saturdays, our great DJ keeps the place rocking from 7 to 12 in the evening. We also have karaoke every other Thursday where you can come and sing your heart out. So I guess you can say it's a music lover's paradise? Vintage Bar and Grill. Always a good time.
Daar sê.
En weer back.
Terug. Ons is terug. Het ons nog boodskap? Is daar? Julle kan saamgesels, ons gesels met Norman oor die
this particular point I think we went through.
Ek wonder waar is Alwyn Grom vandag?
Yeah, I don't know where Alwyn is. Maybe he's sitting in meetings.
Kyk, ja, dit kan ook wees. Dis ja waarskynlik so. In elk geval wat ek weet, hy is die ouens het vroeër jare uit Windhoek uit Kaap toe gery net om daar 'n tattoo te kry. Want toe was daar nie sulke kunstenaars in Namibia.
I remember those days where we just didn't have any tattoo artists in Namibia.
It was quite hard for me to make a name for myself because of the distrust that most Namibians had towards local tattoo artists. Because unfortunately, in the past, we didn't have guys that had the right skill sets, the correct equipment. So it actually was far better and safer for the clientele to go all the way to SA, to Germany, or wherever to go get the work done.
So it's not like you can practice. Say, please give me your body. I'd just like to practice
we do
it.
practice. You get silicone skin, fake skin. You can even buy fake arms. You know, to learn how to tattoo across knuckles and sorts of things.
Okay, so there's a
We
practice.
even used to, in the past, we used to even use things like pork knuckle.
Right.
A nice pork rib with the skin on, and
like an ice spine.
But it's kind of frowned upon these days. You know, bringing a slab of meat into a hygienic area. The greatest idea.
Hoeveel kunstenaars is tans in Namibia?
There are an awful lot of tattoo people in Namibia. Tattoo artists is a small handful. I would say, in my opinion, there's about 6 or 8 of us that are worth what you're paying for.
There you have it.
This is interessant, nee?
I'd like to maybe just ask the following question. So let's say I were to take a decision to get a tattoo. What do I do? Obviously, I think I might have something in mind.
Yes.
Then I come, let's say, see Norman. Okay. And how's the process then? How does it work then?
A lot of people approach us through social media or email. But I'm a very hands-on artist, and my personal process is I would rather ask you guys to come in and see me. We just go sit and we'll discuss the tattoo, your design a little bit, what your ideas are. From then on, I will ask you, send me any form of reference, because my personality and yours are different. And my eye sees things differently to yours.
You see, so that is how intricate it can become.
I need visual input, so I can sort of get a feeling of what visual aesthetic you want to go for. So what usually happens is people will send me a photograph of another person's tattoo because it's a similar concept, or it's the concept they're going for. So I'll take that as that picture's the style or genre of tattoo you want me to go into. From there on, I'll go, you send me pictures, paintings, photos, drawings, any form of visual reference. As dit ook 'n stokmannetjie wat jy self geteken het. Even that. Just to show me more or less what you want. Then I'll ask you to come back. I'll go, okay, you've got this space that we've got to work with. You want mom's face there. You want this flower there. And then we'll discuss it a bit, and then we'll make a booking for you. We take a 50% upfront booking fee. I don't draw without any upfront deposits. And then a couple of days, or on the day of your tattoo, you'll get your design. We allow for a few changes, and then either we go for it, and if you're 100% not down with this tattoo, if you're not 100% cool with it, or if I pick up that you're not sure, what I'll actually go do is like, look, when I know you booked today, let's move your booking until you're 100% happy. The last thing I want to do is to go, look, I've got you booked, we're doing this.
And then you sit with something. But so there'll be an imaging before the tattoo's actually done. How cool is that?
Maar ek wil nou 'n ander seerpuntjie aanspreek. Ons het daaroor gepraat, dink ek, in die week. En dit is tattoos that at the end of the day didn't work out. Of artwork that went wrong. Wat mens lees, wel ek sê ek het dit al gehoor.
If you Google it, tattoos gone wrong. I mean,
dis ek ook sê dis 'n seerpunt en ek weet nou nie.
I'll be 100% honest. I'll say that you know, in my early days of tattooing, I even made a spelling mistake. I'm 100% honest.
Oh wow.
What happened was, luckily it was a very easy one to fix. So what happened was, this lady had a word done, and I'm, by all no means, I'm no grammar Nazi. I'm not the best writer on the planet. So what I do is I typed out the word that she wanted, and I gave it to my boss at the time, and I was like, check it, and he's like, oh no, cool. But we were all hyped up on the excitement. And I hand it to the client, and she goes, oh no, it's perfect. And I'm like, check the spelling. She's like, oh no, it's perfect. She hands it to her friend. Oh no, it's perfect. So we do the tattoo. And when we're done, we go, oh, but there's a letter missing. It was the worst moment in my entire career. I felt so bad. So I was like, okay, cool. Luckily, the human brain does this trick. So what we ended up doing is we added, for free of charge, of course, we added a little rose and had the one leaf of the rose obscure where the missing letter was, because your brain will complete the word. So, there are ways, but, we are only human.
Yes, we are.
Unfortunately, our canvases live, breathe, and unfortunately, you'll get the odd guy that hits a painful spot on the tattoo and he starts kicking his leg, not realizing that I'm tattooing his upper arm, but it's all connected.
Yes.
So you get the guy that moves at just that wrong moment. I mean, you get used to it over time.
And it just goes slip.
You do this. You lift your hand really quickly. You lift your hand when you feel someone slip or move.
Okay.
But it takes time to get to that point. I've even had a lady that was very vocal with her hands.
Okay.
And at the wrong time went, "Oh, cry for my," and then
oh no.
So we again had to adjust the tattoo. Most of the issues I've had with tattoos coming back looking bad are poor aftercare. There's people not
that I
looking
can
after
imagine.
the work.
Sure.
You're getting a fresh tattoo. You just paid $5,000 for 5 hours, and you go swim in Lake Wonop with not the greatest decision that you've made.
Right.
Or you go on a heavy night of drinking with your buddies. Bars are dusty, dirty. We even ask our clients to refrain from gymming with a fresh tattoo
because it takes time to heal, and there's a certain process to clean it and all that.
We've got options these days. So traditional healing, you would do the tattoo, we'd close it up for a few hours, and then you'd start a process of washing. So you'd wash it 3 to 4 times a day, pat it dry, fresh clean towel, wait a little bit for it to air dry completely, and moisturize with ointments that we suggest. There is a modern healing method where you can use like a second skin. It's an adhesive dressing. You clean the tattoo off, and once most of the tattoo's pushed out all the last amounts of blood, ink and plasma, and your tattoo's drying out, you stick it closed with this product and you leave it on 5 to 7 days. And the idea is that it uses your natural fluids, i.e. your plasma, which is viable outside of the body for up to 8 to 48 hours, to kickstart the healing process. And we've seen about a whole week's drop in healing time. So about 30, 40 years ago, it was 5 to 6 weeks to heal a tattoo. Then as it progressed, it became 3-4 weeks. Now it's 2 to 3 weeks. It's not 100% healed by that time, but it's healed enough that there's no more scabs, the skin's clear, maybe a little bit dry. But
we've got another comment coming through. This is Perry Soden. Perry is saying, Gerard, he's referring to Gerard Moorman's comment in terms of the pain, people getting addicted. And Perry is saying, Gerard, dis waar, mens raak verslaaf aan die gevoel en die pain. The question that I have, let's say the tattoo is now done. Okay, let's say on my arm. How long would that area still be sensitive in terms of, let's say,
So for the first 3-4 days is your big sensitivity period. That's where it's swollen, it's irritated. I've been stabbing needles into you for hours. So it's going to be sensitive. We suggest to clients that they use a bit of anti-inflammatory, Miprodol, Cataflam, just for the first 2-3 days to help soothe that initial swelling. And then usually after about day 4 or 5, the sensitivity completely subsides. It just starts itching like crazy. Don't scratch.
Don't scratch.
Now, if you do have an itch, we actually say give it a little happy slap.
Have you got a favorite kind of artwork? I'm thinking about Gothic styles and any specific artwork that like Roman art, something that you like, not necessarily use.
I very much like, it sounds really weird, but I really like old Catholic imagery, because it's actually like quite dark at the same time as being, like a good connotation. So I like Catholic imagery. I like a style of tattooing called neo-traditional, where you use the nice bold outlines of traditional tattoos, but with a modern twist on the shading and some fine line detail. And trash polka is a new style that I really like as well.
There you got it. That's interesting. I think we will have a follow-up discussion whilst you're looking at the comments. I'm going to play one more ad. And then it's time for us to wrap up.
Awesome, thank you.
So let's just...
Thank you. So an interesting thing is that, when you think about tattoos throughout my life, what is the tattoo that stuck with me? Not that I have any tattoos, but what is the tattoo that stuck with me for such a long time? I think there are two, Dirk. One is the anchor on Popeye's arm.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? That's the one that stuck with me. And then obviously Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson. With those are the two. I don't know if you've got one, perhaps.
Nie rarig nie.
Okay.
Nie rarig nie. Ek het jy weet
There wasn't a Playboy model that had one that you were fixated on.
Ja, maar my lyf is nie groot genoeg vir die
Okay.
vir die looks van die model nie.
Alright.
Nie rarig nie, want ek verstom my elke keer aan die kunswerk en wat my bybly is dit is op lewendige vel. Dis nie papier nie.
No.
Dis nie enige die canvas is lewendige vel. En die kunstenaar kom en hy doen artwork, soos ek sê mind-blowing artwork op my vel. Jy weet, ek dink die belangrikste ding wat ek nog nie kon soort van in my eie kop maar uitgewerk het nie is sal ek daarmee saamleef vir die res van my lewe.
Okay.
Jy weet, gaan dit op 'n stadium my nie irriteer nie.
Yeah, that's a big thing, eh?
En dan die ander ding is ons velle word ouer.
Yes.
Jy weet, so nou het ek hierdie pragtige blom en op my ouderdom as ek dit gekry het op 25 het hy nou al verlep.
Like on your, let's say, your chest or on a woman's breast, it was a leopard, but now it's a giraffe.
Ja, jy sien.
The main rule with tattoos aging badly is as long as you look after yourself.
Ja,
Oh, right.
tattoos
Go to gym. That's what Norman
it
is
is
saying.
suggested that after about 5 to 10 years, it is a good idea to have your tattoo just refreshed to give it that extra bit of life and long lifespan.
Yeah.
But other than that, as long as you look after your skin, after your tattoos, you're not a sun god that's not wearing any sunblock.
Right.
Ja, nee,
Over your
ek kan sê
expensive tattoo.
kyk is my mooi, mos ek sê ek dink net altyd aan die ouens wat hoe ouer jy word, gaan sekere van die ek wou amper sê die weelde van die kleure en die mooi daarvan gaan dalk bietjie verbleik, maar soos jy sê dis die jou artwork is so modern. Jy weet jy kan as jy daarna kyk, dan gaan dit altyd goed lyk. Ja.
Shall we look at the
Ja,
weather?
asseblief, kom ons doen
Okay, so we're just having a brief look at the weather in Namibia today, the 17th of August. The interior partly cloudy and mild to warm in the south, with showers in the Karas region, elsewhere sunny and warm to hot. The coast partly cloudy and cool to mild with fog patches. The showers are expected in the south. All right, and then there is that cautionary note from the Met Office saying temperatures will drop significantly in the south as from Thursday.
Ja, en Vox weer sê daai koue, daai tweede, derde front is definitief op pad in die Kaap. En ons het nou nie baie kommentare uit Suid-Afrika vandag gekry nie, maar ons kan dit miskien môre weer opvolg. So môre is ons nie hier nie, môre is ons buite en ons gaan kyk gesels met Andries Botha môre.
Yes.
En Vrydag is ons ook nie hier nie. Dan gaan ons by SKW.
By die SKW Brauhaus.
Gaan ons bietjie kuier.
Ja.
So lekker 2 dae wat vir ons voor lê. Nogmaals duisende dankie.
Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah.
Really
Thank you,
appreciate
Norman.
it.
It was really nice having you on the show. Yes.
En gou net 'n telefoonnommer of net die naam van jou
Guys, if you guys are looking for work, Imaginarium Inkworks. I know it's a mouthful. Look us up on Facebook. It's the easiest to get a hold of us.
Okay.
Send us a line. So we can see what we can do for you.
And your contact numbers and details, emails, everything.
Facebook, location, everything.
So there you have it. Just repeat that.
Imaginarium Inkworks.
Imaginarium Inkworks. Hulle is ook baie naby van ons.
Yes. Just around the corner.
En onthou net hierdie show, as jy hom nou nie heeltemal gekyk het nie, ons gaan hom nou live op YouTube. So as hy hier klaar is, gaan hy YouTube toe en daar bly, daar kan jy hom gaan kyk en dit gaan ons Facebook page, gaan like dit. Stuur julle kommentare, ons gaan dit altyd wat ons nou mis vandag kan ons dalk môre oor gesels.
Ja.
Ja.
Die laaste kommentaar van Rousseau Hill, hy sê Jono Delaney.
Ja.
He's a very well-known biker here in Windhoek.
Jono.
You did that. You did Jono. He's got the Mike Tyson kind of tattoo.
Yeah, he's
right?
got the two screaming the eagles on the side of his head.
Okay, so
Sy
there you go.
biker naam is The Dog.
Yes.
Dog. En Jono is wonderlike.
He's a
Eintlik
fantastic
kom sy
person.
met hier na
I've
kyk.
known
Ja.
Jono since I'm this big.
Yeah, me
it?
too.
Ja.
Did you grow up in Tsumeb?
No, no.
Oh, okay.
Karakter. Ouens, mooi dag vir julle. Ons gaan eers groet, ons tyd is verby. En ons gesels môre weer. Onthou nou môre is ons buitekant die ateljee en ons gaan vir Andries Botha ontmoet, lekker kuier en dan Vrydag by SKW. So stuur julle boodskapies. Dankie julle gekuier het en as jy in Suid-Afrika is, bly warm. Cheers.
Thank you so much for watching. Remember, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, and you can also WhatsApp us. Please do us a favor and like this video, share it, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell icon, so you can get an update when new videos are uploaded. Thanks for now, hope to see you next time.